So welcome everyone to a new episode of Bloq.On.Tour. This time we are not on tour, but our guests clearly are. We're in our HQ in Lisbon. As you can see from the great view, it's a sunny day. And I'm going to start by presenting the people on the table. So my name is João. I'm one of the founders at Bloq.it. Joining me, Ricardo, my co-founder and CTO. And then from Vinted Go, Henry, who's the director of engineering of Vinted Go.
Yep.
And Arnoldas, who's one of the main faces behind the entire locker operation, I think.
Okay.
Director of expansion.
Network development.
Network development.
Yeah.
It's a big role. So great to have you guys. So let's start by kicking this off for those who are listening who don't know much about Vinted Go, which is hard at this point. But for those who don't, why don't you give us a quick, brief intro of what Vinted Go is, what you guys are up to, and what do you do with lockers?
Sure. So most of the people know what Vinted is, but maybe it makes sense to start from there. So Vinted is a company that started in Lithuania a while ago, and it's a second-hand fashion marketplace. It's operational in, I think, 23 countries right now, across Europe and in the US. And it's quite successful. Vinted is running a lot of volume around Europe of parcels full of second-hand fashion. And like 2 years ago, a little bit than 2 years, 2.5 years ago, we launched a new company, which is essentially a logistics arm of Vinted. It's called Vinted Go. And Vinted Go does mainly two things. First one is it integrates all of the different carriers that are across Europe into one big platform that Vinted users can use. So all the big names in every single country. We're creating the availability for Vinted to use them. And on the second hand, which I'm part of, as we call it, Vinted Go Carrier, we're essentially building our own physical carrier. We started doing that in France because at the time it was the biggest country for Vinted, and we had the most potential in volume-wise. So we started doing that a little bit over 2 years ago. Currently, we have already running a quite nice operation. We have sortation centers. We have buildings all around France. We have more than 3,000 points, as we call them, which is lockers or photo shops. We continue to grow this network significantly, and that's what we're doing right now. We're utilizing the Vinted volume to build our own carrier.
Yeah. So just give a perspective for people, because some people might not be aware of the scale and of the fast pace of development. So Vinted Go started in 2022, I think late 2022 actually, when it initially launched.
Yeah, so the startup was really fast. Bloq.it guys helped us there a lot as well. So we made the final decision to do this thing in, I think it was late January. Yeah, it was late January that we're gonna do this. And the same year, July 4th, we were already live. The network was not very majestic. It was 2 lockers on that day, but we already had one building. We had the product running, so on. So we went live in essentially 6 months. And from there on, we scaled a little bit up to 200 points on the map to see whether it works, to see whether everybody can deliver. Everything was a success, and now we're scaling it as fast as we can. Just recently, we had a record week. We opened more than 200 points in a single week.
Yeah, I mean, the pace of development has been quite astonishing. Obviously, at Bloq.it, we're very aware of the development, because at least on the lockers parts, we're the ones producing them and deploying them. And like you said, in 2022, it was 200. And then I think last year, we probably finished with a little bit over 1,000.
Yes.
And then this year, I think we're, like you mentioned, close to 4,000 points already.
Yeah.
So it's really growing in terms of also accelerating the growth, and that's really remarkable. From our side, what we've seen is that it's definitely by far not only one of the fastest 0 to 1 launch in terms of MVP, but then also one of the fastest growth networks, because obviously it's not the biggest one. There are bigger networks out there, but to get to this point in such a small period of time and having the level of adoption, it's quite remarkable. Mm-hmm. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, we're obviously tracking against other companies. So there are companies that are growing faster, but there's not a single company that's growing faster that is operating in only one market.
Yeah.
As we are. So per market, the pace is quite good. And on top of that, like quite recently, we bought our friends from the Netherlands. We bought a company that used to be called Homer. It's now Vinted Go as well. So that essentially means that we're currently operating in 3 countries as a Vinted Go carrier, and this is something that we're gonna be expanding further.
Mm-hmm. All right, awesome. So now maybe we can go a little bit into the technical part. So obviously we have two of the main technical counterparts of this project. Obviously Ricardo from the Bloq.it side, and then Henry from the Vinted Go side. So just to start, what's unique about the smart locker solution? Because obviously there are a lot of lockers out in the market, a lot of different networks. What did you guys say are the most unique things about this project, and also what has been built in terms of the locker network and infrastructure for Vinted Go? Maybe you can start.
Sure. Yeah. I'll say the most unique thing has been the speed. We've mentioned already a couple of times. The speed of it was completely crazy. We agreed on doing this it was like mid-April. We agreed on it. By June we had units finished, and July 4th they were installed. So the speed of it was really amazing. And it was a product that was really thought to be efficient. There were a lot of data-driven decisions, which sometimes feels like it's lacking a lot on the industry. There was a lot of decisions made to be very efficient products from the beginning. And now if you see like our latest versions that we are deploying, they are still very similar to the first ones. So for sure we made some good decisions from the start. What do you want to add, Eric?
I think from an engineering perspective, it's been a unique challenge to have a team working for Vinted operate the front end, which is the locker experience itself, in terms of how drivers or customers interact with those lockers, but then have a very close collaboration with Bloq.it on actual integration with the hardware components themselves. And you talk about being data driven. It's been really interesting to, as the growth has increased, we've gone from just make it work to make it work well, and we've been able to use all that data from whether it's drivers or customers using those lockers to figure out the pain points and make that locker experience as good as it can be. So that's been a really exciting journey to improve from that first 2 lockers to an experience that allows our drivers to be really quick, but also our customers to have a good experience at the lockers themselves.
Yeah, I think the pace of you obviously mentioned the pace of launching. How launch we were able to do the first MVP. I think that speed never really stopped in terms of also iteration. And in my view, the product is quite unique because every time I'm on a trade show, people recognize your locker right away. Obviously, there's a specific color, but I think it's quite unique in the way it was built. Like going from the basics of how big the doors are, the configurations, and yeah, it's really a tailor-made solution for your needs. I think also that's why everything sort of worked quite well. I'm not sure if there's anything you want to add on this point.
I mean, obviously we made some mistakes in the very beginning, which is real normal. I guess we tried to do a very tailored, specific doors. Later that we adjusted a little bit, but we were not too far. But yeah, in the very beginning, we took a big sample of data, trying to figure out what kind of door sizes makes the most sense for Vinted users. And we tried to replicate it into a usable design, and Bloq.it guys delivered it. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, talking a little bit about the future now. Obviously, you guys have been doing a lot of really cool stuff, setting records really in terms of expansion, etc. You've gained a lot of expertise from the market as well, not only from your own network, but also interacting with so many other networks through third-party partners. How do you think the industry is moving forward? What are the main things that you see coming in the next few years? Obviously, there's a lot of different trends. Tell me about your vision of the market in the upcoming years.
So, I guess we can. I can tell a bit more from the marketplace standpoint of view, from the network part that I mentioned, where we integrate a lot of other carriers. So as mentioned, we are operating in a lot of countries, and we see a particular trend. We see a particular differences per countries. Essentially, I'm talking about lockers. So all the countries that has a good locker proposition for a while, for example, Poland or Lithuania, or any of the Baltics, no one even thinks about any other service type because it's just so convenient. And same thing happened with all the countries. With home delivery, everybody was saying that home delivery works very well in all the countries, but not in my country. My country is special. And this kind of moved away to this traditional put-up points right now. And I think the next step is to move everything into a more convenient type of thing, which is parcel locker. At least that's how I see it. One of the problems with parcel lockers, though, is it's visible in some countries that when there's a bunch of companies growing at the same time, you get a situation we have 6 different lockers of 6 different countries on every corner, which is not very cost effective on a grand scheme of things, not very efficient. So I think what would be the next step for the market to flow is to utilize the existing networks as open networks. I think that's the next big thing. E-commerce is a big thing. It's going to get even bigger and bigger in the future. The brick and mortar will be dying at some point, most likely, but that's my personal opinion. So that means we will have bigger and bigger dependency on easy shipping services, easy custom, easy pickup services of your daily parcels that you are buying and you're going to be buying. And I think Vinted Go, for example, could be one of the companies that starts it in France. We're already opening our network to other carriers. We are happily inviting everybody to use it. And we want to invite everybody to use ours, not to waste the environment, not to waste the money on building new networks, but just we can share everything together and utilize it together. So I think it will happen in the market like it happened with telecommunications or railroad in the States a while ago. It consolidates into one big network that everybody's using. So I think that's where we're heading inevitably in Europe.
Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. Do you agree with this statement in terms of open networks and a few other things like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We're also betting big on it.
Yeah.
So of course, we have Vinted doing it, and we are empowering that. And then we have other projects we are participating in. And I think like overall the industry, there's a lot of thoughts about it. Everyone's looking to it. It makes a lot of sense. Like you go to a lot of countries, you go to a shop, there's a locker. Like in France, for example, it happens a lot. You see Vinted locker. It's usually the smallest one, the most used one also. And then you have 3 or 4 other lockers right next to it. So yeah, that makes sense. And most lockers are empty. So if you can make one good agnostic network, maybe not just one, but multiple, that work very well, that's much more efficient for everyone.
Right. So essentially opening the network, opening lockers, allowing different parties to use the same infrastructure in an integrated way, that would be essentially the future of smart lockers and in a broader scheme out of phone. Cool. Now, a slightly different question. We've talked about the future of the industry. What's the future of Vinted Go?
So, as mentioned, Vinted is our big mother is running a lot of countries. We have a lot of volume to take care of. So the obvious thing is that we're going to be continuously expanding in France, where we are right now. The network size that we're currently at is still just the beginning. We want to cover the full France, and this means a lot more lockers and shops. As mentioned, we're already operational in the Benelux area, so we're going to be expanding there for sure. And we are already doing that. And then the time will show. I mean, if this setup that we are in will continue to deliver good results, it's inevitable that at some point we will be stepping out of the countries that I mentioned, and we're going to be creating this solution for Vinted users to begin with in even more countries than we are right now. Although it's a bit early to talk about any kind of specific timelines and so on, but I'm pretty I have high confidence that this will happen.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think you talk about expansion from my perspective. We did a lot of work very quickly to get this locker network established. And now we have, as the network expands underneath us, from an engineering perspective, we can work on making that locker experience everyone's favorite locker experience. We want people to come to that locker and have a very good experience, whether you're a driver, which means it's efficiency, or whether you're a customer. You're going to have a very robust, reliable, smooth experience at the locker. And so that takes engineering effort, and that's what we'll look into doing throughout the rest of this year. We spoke about open network earlier. Our first customer, we kind of started with the first customer. That took some investment to make our kind of career go from having one customer, which is Vinted, to a new one. Now we've done that first one, we think it'd be much faster for us to start opening up our network and taking what is essentially an optimization problem of having a network and making sure the capacity is always optimized through volume sustained, not only from yourself, but from other couriers. So I think from an engineering perspective, that will be the focus. Making those lockers work really, really well and balancing the volume with other couriers as we start to open up that network and provide PUDOs for other carriers as well.
Yeah, well, the cool thing with us in open network is something that most other players can't have. They don't have is a bit easier for us to balance out the volume because Vinted volume is counter-seasonal. So essentially, when the peak season is happening just before Christmas, everybody's buying gifts and so on. Vinted doesn't have the peak season at the same time. That means we do have capacity in the lockers, and the other way around. So it's the environment is actually built for better balance.
Well, guys, I think that's about time. Thank you for participating. It was a great discussion.
Sure, thanks.
Awesome learning more about Vinted and your goals. It's definitely been one of the key projects in the industry. I think everybody's aware of that. I think you guys have done a remarkable work so far, and I'm fairly confident that we will keep doing really cool stuff together. So thank you for your visit, guys.
Thanks. Cool. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.